So let's go over what we're looking for as you judge the news piece entries. The first statement is, student's piece provides a balanced and informative approach to the subject. Now, the news has a responsibility to inform us about important topics in an unbiased way. The ideal student entry should inform us about their topic without inserting their opinions. Basically, we want to hear both sides of the story. A score of 1 tells us that the entry showed no effort in balanced journalism, while a score of 10 tells us that the student hit a home run in this. The second line we'll have you judging is whether the entry highlights a compelling and interesting topic while shedding light on a subject. What we're looking for here is for the topic to have held your interest throughout the piece. But we also want the entry to spotlight something that you may have otherwise overlooked. Once again, a score of 10 tells us that you think the entry perfectly executed this. The third line asks you to give the technical score. For a high score in the technical aspects of production, the ideal piece will have clean video, show thoughts as to the placement of light or available light, have clean sound, and have good B-roll with no jump cuts. For instance, if you find yourself turning the audio up and down throughout the piece, then the student failed to make adjustments to the levels properly. If you can't make out visually what's on the screen, then perhaps the student should have made adjustments to the lighting. Of course, if you feel that a broken rule was done so for artistic reasons, then you have the privilege to judge it accordingly. Lastly, we ask that you give a score to the presentation of the news piece. Use this score to tell us how clear the reporter or voiceover was. You can also use the presentation score to tell us the piece presented their ideas well. Remember, for any of these judging points, please use your best judgment. Each part of the judging process was designed to give you the freedom to interpret the quality of the piece. The next two parts of the judging form provide grades for the subcategories, Best Editing and Best Videography. For each of these two subcategories, there are 3 points that you can base a grade upon. If you've already judged another category, then the following subcategories are the same throughout, so feel free to skip over the rest of this video and begin judging the student entries. The first measure you'll look at in judging the videography of the piece is how the camera operator showed skill amongst the technical aspects of camera use. For judging technical aspects of videography, we look at the student's ability to properly operate the camera and the awareness of the proper settings of the camera. The ideal entry will be properly white balanced, properly framed, sharply focused, and correctly exposed. The correct use of a tripod, the use of lights when available light is low, and the proper use of microphones should be considered as well. The judging grades will be on a scale of 1 to 10, just as it was in the last sections. A grade of 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. Next, you'll look at how the videography in the piece enhanced the overall quality of the student production. When judging the artistic merit of the videography, we want to see students use videography as a storytelling tool. Consider the use of close-ups, cutaways, and B-roll shots in a way that enhances effectiveness of the piece. Lastly, we'll grade how well the videographer used innovative composition in a creative and artistic approach. A high score in this measure would be the product of an outside-the-box approach to video composition and will exhibit innovation in the approach to capturing a subject matter. Consider camera angles, how the subject is portrayed, and how these elements contribute to a cohesive theme, and make a grade based on that. The third and last area of judging looks at the editing of the piece. The entry that receives the highest score here will win the Best Editing Award. You'll first make a judgment on the technical aspects of the editing in the piece. The highest score should be given to entries that exhibit good technical ability in the editing of the piece. This means that there will be no jump cuts, the audio will transition smoothly and be evenly set throughout the piece, music will be mixed well and never overpower any of the voices in the foreground, and there are no unpleasant gaps or breaks within the piece. A big consideration of a skilled editor is always continuity. So for the second measure, we ask that you take a look at how well the student showed awareness of sequencing edits that carry the viewer through the cohesive story. Lastly, the third measure of judging for the best editing category is its overall artistic aspects. Judging artistic merit of the piece will look more at the pace and feel of how the entry was edited. The higher score will be given to pieces that take us through the story with seamless transitions and pace the edits considering the emotional state of the viewer. For instance, if an action sequence seems meandering, then perhaps the student failed to pace the edits properly in that scene. That's all of the judging criteria that you will be putting in for each entry. Now, one thing to remember is that by giving a score of 10, you're stating that the video entry exhibits elements that you would consider to be the winning entry. So be sure to save your perfect scores for the videos that you feel should win. And just as a side note, to those that are unable to complete the survey in one sitting, you should know that in some cases, you can pick up where you left off. So as long as you don't quit your web browser or shut down your computer in the middle of the judging form, you should be able to get back to your spot. In fact, I've received reports saying that even after shutting down the browser, some judges were able to go to the survey via their history menu and get back to where they left off. So thanks again for your time and commitment to judging the Merrimack Valley Film Festival. We can't do this without you, and your efforts contribute to a wonderful experience for the high school students within the Valley. Enjoy the judging, and feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions or issues. Also, if you'd like to judge another category or more categories, let me know and I'll send it right along through an email.